Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today is the last day of spoiler season for patch 3.18. We're going to be seeing Sentinel go live in about 14 hours time. As GGG always do at this point, they put out a torrent file, which is really only for a small subset of the game community. I would only recommend doing anything about this if your download speed for your internet is more than 1 GB per hour and less than 3 GB per hour. If you're in that narrow window, and also you're not going to be able to get to your PC exactly 3 hours before league start, in that case, I would recommend that you start downloading the torrent now. If you're not in that situation, either you can get to your PC 3 hours before league start, or your internet speed is meaningfully faster than 3 GB an hour to download, or meaningfully slower than 1.5, then you can completely disregard this post. I'll put some information down in the description of the video below and a link to this post, but for most people you can ignore it. But if you are in the situation where the torrent is useful to you, then it will be there as an option. Now, secondly, there's a number of small little teasers we've had. Most of them have been quality of life features, and we'll get to those in a sec. But let's start with Fatal Flourish, which is the most recent of the Forbidden Flame duels to be announced. Now, this is the duelist one, the one that is not providing an existing Ascendancy notable, but providing something new. This causes the final repeat of your attack skills to deal 60% more damage, and your non-travel attack skills repeat an additional time. This can either compete with or synergize with multi-strike support or awaken multi-strike support. I think most people will use this instead of multi-strike support, but ultimately the decision's up to you. Give it some thought and just run the numbers as to whether or not it's worth your while. Do keep in mind that standing in place for a period of time can be pretty dangerous, and so while this is more damage per second, it does also put you in considerably more danger, and you will find that sometimes you're going to be cancelling out of that second super juicy attack because the boss has telegraphed your area for a slam, or whatever the case may be. So do keep in mind, it doesn't quite perform as well in the real world as it does on paper, but it performs so well on paper that you shouldn't care about it, and you should probably use it. If you're playing a duelist that can make some use out of this Forbidden Flame, then you definitely want to use it. Next is a quality of life improvement to Betrayal. This is that they have finally realized that no one could find the release button. It is surprising just how many people didn't realize there was a release option. If you choose release on Betrayal, what you're doing is you're saying, I don't want any of the options. Now, you would never do it in a situation like this. You'd always take the bargain on the one that you see here, where you've got the option of plus 12 research intelligence. But in a lot of situations, there are strategic reasons that you don't want to take any of the options. This comes up most frequently when one of the options that's offered is remove all rivalries in the Immortal Syndicate. You never want to ever click remove all rivalries in the Immortal Syndicate. And so that makes that one outright negative, but sometimes you don't want to interrogate that NPC either. Now they're just making it clearer that the release option is there. It's always been there, well, not quite always, but it's been there for a while, but it's been hidden off in the bottom right corner of the screen where it was very easy to miss, and they've finally got around to fixing that. The other two quality of life changes, one is to the Hideout music player, which is an MTX that you can buy that allows your Hideout to play various theme songs of different areas from the game. That is being changed to have a random option on it. And the last one is that Tiny's trials will allow you to end them early. There's a lot of criticism of this change over on the Path of Exile subreddit because it looks like it can easily be done accidentally, and I don't think that that is a good feature. I do think that this is the sort of thing that might need to be reworked further in the future, but from a veteran player's perspective, who really uses Tiny's trial anyway? ROG does the same thing but does it much better, and ROG isn't the only one. There's a lot of other options that just do similar things but do it a lot better than Tiny's trial does. So I'm not really impressed with Tiny's trial, and even though a quality of life improvement never hurts, it doesn't really do much when it's onto such a weak mechanic. Now, loot filters are the last subject we're going to be talking about today, and there are two that are probably the most commonly used. Neversink is the most commonly used, and then there is Hobbits, which is probably second. The Hobbit one is finished, and so if you're interested in getting yourself one of the Hobbit filters, I'll put a link down in the description below to this Reddit post, which contains all of the information for the Filter Blast website, which is not to be confused with Neversink's Filter Blade. Now, Neversink's filter and Filter Blade are still a work in progress, and Neversink expects to have this finished about 5 hours before the league goes live. However, of course, he's a one-person operation, so if he ends up late, he ends up late. It's a huge job that he's doing, and he certainly doesn't get paid enough for the work that he does. So definitely have a look at both of those filters. Take your pick, maybe pick one of them, maybe customize a little if you think that that's appropriate. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it there. May your Varlobs have interesting results.